Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Belegian.
Well, and good evening. Welcome to another edition of What the Puck. So glad you can join us. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about the upcoming alumni game. It is outstanding. Rangers, Wings, once again, Big Boy Arena, April 27th. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic event full of fantastic players, including our guest, who I will introduce to everybody in just a second. He needs no introduction around here, but along with my pal Mike Iveso, my name is Sean Belegian, and I'm going to get this out of the way right now because I talked to a couple former teammates of our guest here tonight, and I don't want to get punched by either one of them. I have to pass messages on to Matthew. Chris Osgood wanted me to say hello to you, Matthew. Yeah. And Darren McCarty said, LaDandy, you are the funnest younger brother I ever had, and you better write a book one day. I'm sure there's a meaning there. I don't want to delve into it, but Matthew Dandino kindly joins us right now. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. How you been, man?
Thank you for having me. I've been great messages from the guys. It's always fun to talk to the people back in the Motor City, the Detroit people. I get to come back every year, and but it's like, you're right, they're all brothers to me. We've gone through so many things, and obviously winning the Stanley Cup. So it's they're very, very precious to me. So some kind words. Thank you.
I wanted to start there. I mean, you're a guy who grew up in Sherbrooke, Quebec. For people that don't understand, you heard all the stories of these great Habs legends, I'm sure. You know, Rocket, Henri Richard, Jean-Pierre Laveau. You were one of those guys in regards to the success that you had early in your career. 3 Stanley Cups by the time you were 26 years old. I mean, as a 26-year-old kid, you had to be saying, somebody pinch me. Is this real?
Yeah, life is pretty good, right? It was awesome. But I remember, like you're mentioning, I'm back home in Quebec, and especially after the first 2 cups, like I'm 22 years old, and people are like, okay, so this 22-year-old has 2 Stanley Cups, and Raymond Bourque still doesn't have a cup. You know, that was the thing that was going on. But no, for sure, it was special. It was awesome to be part of the Red Wings. But I remember at the time when I got drafted, I was like, the Detroit Red Wings, like, they already went to the finals. Like, when am I going to make the team and stuff? But it was a perfect mix, perfect timing. And at the time, too, I remember that it was there was a lockout year in '94. And I remember Scotty Bowman came to see me play in Sherbrooke because he had time, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember scoring that game and stuff. So it was just, everything came along together really nice. And it was a special time. But obviously, growing up in Quebec, it was the Montreal Canadiens of everything, obviously, and it was special. So, but to be part of the original 6, the Red Wings and stuff, so I was happy. But I remember at the time getting drafted, I was like, oh, it's going to be a tough one because they're already a great team. You know what I mean? So that was something.
Let's get right to it. That great team, you get drafted by the Red Wings. When you walk in as a rookie into that locker room with Scotty Bowman, Steve Yzerman, the likes of that, what would you say is the biggest lesson you took that rookie year from those guys that helped project you on your career?
Well, Steve Yzerman is the best leader I've ever been around. That's for sure. But when you're a 19-year-old kid, or even 18, because you get drafted, you go to the first training camp, these are the people that you have hockey cards, you have jerseys, you have posters in the back. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm in the dressing room. I'm on the ice with these guys. And that's the one thing that the guys were so good to me. It's just to be, how to become a professional and just, take your mind off that. We're regular hockey players. Obviously, they're great, but it's still a game. So just go out there and play and do what brought you here, And so I had great mentors, and I have to mention Paul Coffey, because my rookie year, I stayed at the hotel probably 2 months. And then finally the Red Wings said, oh, we're going to keep you. And then Paul Coffey said, you know what, why don't you come and stay at my house? Obviously I got a big house. Yeah. And Stephanie was great. Like, it was good because, you're 19 years old, you don't know too much your way around, and Koff like telling stories, and I enjoyed the stories. So I got to say thank you to him too. But everybody, across the board, was nice, because you mentioned Chris Osgood. So I stayed at a hotel, stayed at Paul Coffee, and I finished the year the Riverfront Apartments by Joe Louis Arena. And the Drapes and Ozzy were staying there too. So they were good to me too. I think I was a floor above or under, but they told me to come and stay there too. So everybody was really nice. Everybody did their thing to make me feel so welcome and appreciative. So I really enjoyed that. That was a special rookie year for sure.
Matthew Dandino kindly joining us, of course, 3-time Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings, also played for the hometown Habs as well. He'll be a part of the alumni team April 27th at Big Boy Arena. Wings taking on the Rangers. Matthew, you mentioned Scotty. Scotty was a complex guy. There's no doubt about it. I loved Scotty. You want to talk about stories. You get Scotty going. Some of the stories that come out of him are unbelievable. He's at a front row seat for so much hockey history, but that had to be a little intimidating for you, hearing the stories about those great teams that he had in Montreal, and then coming off the success that he had in Pittsburgh. What was Scotty like to deal with? I mean, I'm sure it helped that he spoke French, but what was your relationship with Scotty like?
Well, I have to, Scotty brought me into the NHL.
Mhm.
So, I'm really thankful for that. And obviously, one day he'll talk to you about anything, and the next day he might just blow by you in the in the hallway. But that was him. But I think he was really, obviously, a really good innovator. Like, he would think about the game all the time. And even before we finally lost the red line, he was talking about it, and he was trying to find ways to stretch the zone more, to really keep the defense back, to get that open ice through the center ice. I remember asking Steve Yzerman at the time, like, those years when you're scoring 155 points, how was it like? Like, what's so different now? And he was saying, we'd practice offense and we'd practice defense, but we never practiced the neutral zone. But Scotty did that. And it was a time where the trap was coming in and we had the left wing lock. But he was always an innovator. So that was the one thing about Scotty. And he always knew what he was missing for talent. And so he always, because we got in Larry Murphy, Jamie McCown, guys that, tail end of their career, that I think Larry was getting booed a bit in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he is awesome for us. And he, wins back-to-back cups. So he knew where he could get the talent, and, to make everything right and just mesh everybody together. And for me, it was kind of a weird situation, because I've always played forward my whole career. And then my first year I played forward. I don't play too many games. And then we lose to Colorado. And then the next year he comes back and he says, listen, we have a good team. We got pretty much the same guys coming back. But we're missing a couple of defensemen. I've done it with Jim Roberts. I think you skate pretty fast, so I think you should go play defense if you want to play here. It was a 5-minute meeting. I've never played defense ever in my life. Go learn how to play defense. That was it. You have Lewis Davis got to help you, and then watch the other guys. Watch Nick all the time. Okay. So, but that was him. Like, he was always thinking ahead. He liked me. He liked having me. I think he enjoyed the fact that. I don't think he liked having too many of the minor guys sometimes. He liked having the veteran guys. And for me, since I was able to plug in here and there and all the different positions, so he liked having me around, type of thing. So it was, but I owe, he got me into the NHL, that's for sure. So I owe him a lot.
Okay, we've heard the three-time Stanley Cup champion, and I know, Matthew, as you're growing up, I'm sure you won the Stanley Cup 1,000 times playing street hockey, right? And you raised the cup. What was that moment like, that first time you actually raised that cup for real?
Well, it's surreal for sure. Like, it's like you dream about it your whole life, and now to be there and to have it, and just to celebrate, and having your family, and basically you just don't want to drop it on the ice. You just don't want to be that guy. I'm just a warrior. But it's a surreal moment, and it's awesome, and it's really nice to have all the accolades, but especially with the family, because you're not just winning the Stanley Cup. I think your whole family is winning the Stanley Cup, and everybody that helped you get there in a way, everybody feels an important moment for them too. And I think it's important to recognize that because, somebody drove me to the rink and got me dressed and got me the gear and all my parents, but, aunts and uncles came and see me play, and I had my brothers encouraging me too. So I think that's where that moment is that you're raising the cup, but you're raising the cup for your family and all your friends too.
Awesome. Once again, Matthew Dandino kindly joining us. He's going to be in town, one of so many stars of the past that are going to be at this alumni game, April 27th at Big Boy Arena. Matthew, I'm sure you know this, but it bears repeating. Yesterday is like a hockey holiday around here. March 26th is going to be one of those dates that none of us forget. I've been fortunate enough to get to know Darren very well. We did some things on the radio and everything. I would be remiss and I would be risking McCarty pummeling me if I didn't ask you your thoughts on what we call McCarty's holiday around here, March 26, 1997.
And well deserved too, eh? Yeah. The McCarty, yeah, that's for sure. It was special because obviously nothing had happened throughout the season. This was the last game against them, and we were losing. I mean, we were losing, and it was just that very moment that everything happened, and we just became that great, awesome team that meshed everything together. That's what we were missing, and just to have the psychological advantage that we can beat you, and we got revenged on you. And I think it deflated them at the same time. So it was just a special moment. And just to see the fights and the goalies, Mike Vernon, my God, 5'6", 7", and he could throw, like he did well. Yeah. So it was just a special thing. And Igor Larionov, my God, the nicest guy in the NHL. And he started the whole thing in a way. So it was a special time, but boy, oh boy, just to come, when everything meshes together, that's what happened. I mean, we just became that good of a team right there and then. And on the other side, it kind of deflated them. So it was a big time game. And it just shows you that it's just not hockey. It's everything. Psychological is just as important to play that game.
Yeah, and this question here, this one's a little personal for me because I've heard a lot about it, but I've never heard the story. You guys go down 0-2 to Vancouver in 2002, and us as fans heard the lore of the speech that your captain gave you. Could you tell us a little bit about your memory of that speech and how that changed maybe the course of that series?
Yeah, I mean, that was everything. And basically what it was is that, I think we had won the President's Trophy early, but we go 0-7 in April, I think, and then start against Vancouver 0-2, like you mentioned. But it was just like Steve took us aside and he just said, listen, I like our team. We have a really good team. But right now we're not playing all that great, but I know we can play much better. But at the same time, we don't want to change too many things. I mean, this team took us, we're able to win. We know we can win, but they had some lucky bounces. We've seen them. A shot hit a skate, no, hit an ass and everything. He says, if we keep playing the same way, I believe we're going to get a good bounce ourselves. Yeah. And so we're like, all right. So then next thing you know, the next day we go on the ice and Nick Lidstrom from the red light, you know what? Might as well shoot on net. And we looked at each other on the bench. That was it. Everybody looked at each other on the bench and then this is it. That's our bounce. The Messiah, whatever it is. And then boom. And then I think Holly scored a hat trick. And it was just, that was it. That was the moment. But that was the speech too. It was just like, because when you're losing, it's not from a lack of effort. Sometimes you try to do too many things like, oh, I'll save the day type of thing. But it was just like, no, keep playing the same way, play our game, and we're going to get a bounce. And we did. So it was, but that was it. It wasn't a long speech, but he really believed in us. And that's why it makes him so special, Steve, is because, he doesn't talk too much, but when he does, boy, you listen. And we did. And that was a special moment for sure.
That year was unbelievable. And I don't know if you guys maybe in the moment even realized that. I remember going to some of the practices and there's Luke Robitaille, and you already have the guys that you already had, and you bring in Luke, and you bring in Dominic Hasek. And I mean, when you look at that locker room, it's insane. I mean, we can look back 20 plus years later and go, how the hell did they fit all those guys in that room? Was that something you were aware of at the time, Matthew, or was it like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to my game? But did you ever find yourself looking around going, there's Chris Chelios, there's Luke Robitaille? I mean, it really was amazing. You bring in Brett Hull. That room was sick.
No, it was. And we brought in Dominic Hasek just to go head to head against Patrick Waugh too, the psychological stuff. But yeah, that dressing room was awesome. And I remember at the time too, when Holly came in, you know, how is he a type of guy? Is he tough on players in the dressing room? But we had such a big and deep dressing room that it was a non-factor in a way. And Holly was awesome. I loved Holly, and at the same time, Luke too. But one thing I've learned, and this is all it's coaching 101, but I remember at the time, Dave Lewis took me aside. This was maybe a few years before, and he said, listen, this is the game we want. And Nick Lidstrom will play 30 minutes. If I could play Nick Lidstrom 60, I would, but I can't. He can only play 30. But, you know, the 15 minutes that I need from you are just as important as Nick Lidstrom. Because if you get scored on and everything, it's going to change the game. So don't get scored on. Play hard, play well. And if you play 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, you're just as important. And that's the thing. Everybody knew in order to win, to accept the role that they were for the better of the team. So you played 5, you know what? You're just as important as Steve Yzerman or Sergei Fedorov. And everybody took that to heart type of thing. We knew everybody deserves more ice time, but at the same time, in order for us to win, that was it. And I think everybody bought in. Everybody bought in because Luke was playing on the 4th line. But at the same time, he would be on first or second power play. So you had the special teams, you know. I play the 5-on-5 with Steve Duchesne, but then I'd be on the second power PK. So we had all our roles crisscross here and there, and we all felt really important to the team, but depending minutes and stuff. So it was just great team chemistry, and the egos never got into the way at that 2002 team. Yeah.
Well, sticking with the 2002 team, sticking with that locker room, I can imagine going in to a game 7, you're probably going to get some nerves. But when you're going into game 7 against Colorado that year, and then all of a sudden you walk into that locker room and you start looking around at the guys, did that boost your confidence? What was that locker room like that night?
That game 7 against Colorado, to my knowledge, my personal knowledge, that was the most prepared and calmest room I had ever been a part of. Like, we knew it was coming, and it was gonna come hard right away, like at the beginning of the game. Like, we were really gonna take it to them right away, because I remember, like, we had lost game 5, and then go to Colorado, and that's where you get Dominic Hasek.
Yeah.
A guy like that gets the shutout. What does he do? Game 7 gets the shutout. But at the beginning, just before heading on the ice, like, we knew the room was quiet, but it was confident. And then boom, 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 boom. I think it was 4-0 in the first period. So that was an amazing, amazing feeling that I've ever been a part of. In order to win, we knew we were going to play really good and really well, and we didn't need anybody rah, rah, rah screaming in the room. None of that. Everybody was focused and ready to go.
Matthew Dandino kindly joining us. And again, he is going to be part of this fantastic alumni game. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the proceeds go to charity as well. I mean, raise so much money for charity. JH Pastor Foundation has done such a fantastic job with that. Joe Neville and the gang putting this together. It's for the right cause, and we get a chance to see great hockey. Matthew, I have to ask you, and I've told this story on the radio, on television. I've told friends like my buddy Mike. I want to say, maybe you can correct me, it may have been Hasek's first practice with you. At the end of the practice at Joe Louis Arena, Scotty had everybody line up and take, in essence, penalty shots on Hasek. And he saved everything for, I mean, I think it was 2 times through the roster, to the point where Brendan Shanahan stopped and kind of looked at him shaking his head like, what's wrong with you? Talk about what you saw up close with Dominic Hasek, because I don't think maybe the average fan in the nation realize exactly how good he was. He had success at Buffalo, make no mistake about it. But because you guys were such a wagon, I think people really got a chance to see the Dominator dominate.
Yeah, he was so out of the box type of thing. Like you usually at that time, it was when goalies would just go down on a butterfly and just take the angle away, and they had the big giant shoulder pads back then. But him, he was just sprawled all over, and it was just basic reflexes all over the place. So we didn't know how to score on him, and obviously the rest of the NHL didn't either. But it was a special time to have him because he was such a competitor. But when he came to the Red Wings, one of the big differences is that in Buffalo, he'd get 40, 50 shots a game. Come to the Red Wings, you're getting 20 a game. Yeah. So sometimes he'd get bored. He would get bored. He would go play the puck in the corner. And Dom wasn't the best with the puck, but it was like, just stay in the net, just stay in the net. But he get bored. Like he wants to come out and challenge some other players. Like we remember Gabrick going over him, the type of thing. And but he was such a great competitor. But it's just his style. It's just you can't really pick spots because you don't know how he's going to react, and he reacts differently all the time. But he was really good. And like I said, like people often say like we would win 1-0 just in warm up. Because the other teams would look by like, look at all these guys, all the Hall of Famers, and I'm like, I know, but that's that. That was the hockey back then, and we didn't have that salary cap, so it was we could afford to get all these guys together. But it was if you looked at the Rangers didn't make the playoffs. They had a big deep team, but it was just. I think everybody just meshed really well, and that's from the leadership up, like just the ownership, how special they are, and then trickle down to the GM. To Ken Holland was awesome, Jim Nill was awesome, Del Villano, and all these people. So all the leadership squad was just great, and just great bunch of guys. And when you have that, you have room for success, and we had it.
You had a great career, not only a great career, but you got to play in two great cities, two great hockey cities in Detroit and Montreal. Could you compare the two as far as the atmosphere, the pressure of playing hockey in those two cities?
I would say the biggest difference between the two markets is that Detroit has all the other teams and all the other sports teams. And I think that's the biggest difference, because if the Wings are doing well, maybe the Tigers are doing well, the Lions or the Pistons, and even the colleges. I mean, it's big news, right, in Michigan. As for Montreal, it's hockey. I mean, it's just hockey. Now they have some MLS, but at the time it wasn't there. And when I played there, it was another league. And then the Alouettes, the football, are in or out, in CFL. So it's not the same. So all the media stuff is really concentrated on the Canadian. And there would be 3 different television shows every night after every game with some personalities. And it was just sometimes you just throw stuff in the air. If it sticks, it sticks. Like they would say some crazy things sometimes. And that's one of the reasons why I went into the media after on a French network. It was just like, well, if I'm there, then the guy can't really say how it goes down in the dressing room because he's never been in the dressing room. You know what I mean? So, but that was the big difference. I think Montreal. What I do enjoy about Montreal and Detroit is that they could really appreciate a good defensive play too. You'll go to Arizona and stuff, and they don't really know all that well. But I think those two big markets, that was special. And I would say the Bell Center, when it rocks. So it was that was fun too. But Joe Louis was so special. And I think there's a really good bond with the fans too. So, but I think media-wise, I think that's the biggest difference, is that Montreal is just constant hockey all the time. As for Detroit, well, you can spread it out a bit more.
You can watch some of those shows online, because I watch Anti-Chamber online. I Matthew, I'm just letting you know that's on Twitter. I can check out some of that stuff afterwards.
How's your French?
Very well, actually. We can have a conversation. Bonsoir. But to have that opportunity to go home, a kid from Sherbrooke, to have that opportunity to go home and not just go home, but, play for a Quebecois legend. Guy Carbonneau was your coach. And you guys, we were talking before the show started, your '08 team, I think a lot of people thought, boy, this might be an original six final between Montreal and Detroit. It wasn't meant to be for you guys, but what a great experience for you to have that opportunity. I guess in front of your friends and family, Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's special to go back at the time. I was a free agent, and Detroit was offering me 2 years. So I could have stayed. But I was like, this is my time for, as a free agent. And I believe Columbus was offering me 4 years, Boston 4 years. And then the next day, Montreal offered me 4 years. So I was like, I want to go home. Like I wanted to stay in Detroit for sure. But it was like, Kenny, please come on, 2 more years. No, okay. I went to Montreal. But it was special because you go home, you play for the Canadians, and you grew up watching the team. So that was fun, and the family and everything. And it really you go through 82 games. It's hard, and there's up and down and stuff. But I think having that pressure of just performing in front of your hometown, your friends and everything, that gives you that little extra motivation. And there's 3 TV shows and radio shows, and we didn't have too many podcasts at the time, but you knew they were coming, they're on their way. And it was just that pressure was just like, just perform. I think, when you're a role player, and, I was appreciated there, but it'd be hard to have a French Canadian that has to score 50 goals a season. That's the pressure. That's a big time cooker there. So, but it was a special time, and I had some great teammates. And to this day, we played hockey again this morning together. We have like 7 or 8 guys that we played together, and we still have a good time. So you create these bonds, these friendship, and the people around Montreal. We do a lot of stuff with the alumni. Where many times they want us over at the Bell Center. So it's a special time for sure.
So Matthew, we spoke earlier. You were a forward. They switched you over to defense. I know if they ever did that to me when I was playing, I would have passed out. I don't even know if I saw the other side of the blue line, but you did a great job. It was a pleasure watching you. So I've just got to know, going from forward to defense, you're there. Who was the scariest player coming down on you one-on-one where you're just like, oh man, I'm lost?
Okay, so my first year that I played D, I think Mike Modano danced me. I think I have to say he's the one guy that I kind of looked down at the puck and it was gone. So Mike Modano, I remember. But other than that, like you play, it's just so strange to go and play. Like Mario Lemieux was my idol. Mm-hmm. And just to play against Mario, like it's special. And a funny story, we're in Pittsburgh, and it's my first game against Mario. And I'm in front of the net, and I kind of give him the bear hug. At the time, we were allowed. And a shot comes from the point, and he kind of turns, and he tips it in. I'm like, -1, but it's Mario Lemieux. Okay. So get back to the second period. And then again, now this time, like I got him in the bear hug. There's no way. Another shot from the point, and he's able to tip it in too. I get back to the bench. I'm like, so effing lucky. And Dino Ciccarelli turns to me and said, "It ain't luck, kid. It ain't luck." But to play against Mario and Wayne Gretzky and Ovechkin and Crosby and all these guys, it's special. And the one good thing that happened, I think it was 2001, at Christmas, or probably December, early December, Scotty comes over and he says, "Dandy, we're gonna put you with Nick Lidstrom." I said, "What? We're gonna put you with Nick?" Because I was playing well, and he was like, "Okay." So I was +5 at the time. I finished the year +25. I have one play, just pass it over to Nick. Here you go, Nick, do something. And he just made a great player, an awesome play. But that was fun. Playing with Nick was fun because then you play against the top guys, but they're not the hardcore heavy guys, right? More skillful guys. So, and that was like that pride to just try to contain them and stuff. But Nick is obviously the best defenseman I've ever played with. And he was it's so amazing how he wasn't the fastest, the biggest, and everything, but he was just like always in the right spot, always making a good play all the time. So I appreciate that. And at the same time, I remember drapes and stuff, looking at my plus minus, and it's all Nick. It's all Nick.
That just sound like him. Matthew, we could sit here and talk to you all night. Can't thank you enough for giving us your time. We so look forward to seeing you. You were always such a great guy to deal with when you were in town. You still are. Make sure you get out there and see Matthew and so many former greats with the Red Wings and the Rangers. The Rangers are bringing quite the roster as well. Matthew, continued success to you. Look forward to seeing you April 27th at Big Boy Arena.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's always fun to come back in Michigan, and I'll be ready for the 27th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Matthew Dandino kindly joining us here on What the Puck. Mike, that's him. Like that's
great.
That's him. That was the guy that so I'm going to let you in a little secret, okay? And I've actually shared this. I know Tammy's in there. Tammy's heard me say this before. And shout out to a few people, Kramer, Tammy, Ben, Jason. I said this when I was doing a show with McCarty. Okay, so back then, Scotty started to put up. Did you ever hear about the curtain?
Yeah.
Okay, Scotty would put up the curtain, and the guys would go hide behind the curtain. And there were a few guys that would come out and talk to you. If you needed something, like they would do it begrudgingly, though. Yep. They would do it like Darren would be walking and he'd get about 5 feet away from the curtain. Then he'd look at you and you'd kind of give him the puppy eyes. All right, what do you need? But credit to Darren, and I'm not just saying this because he's my buddy. He always came out and talked to people. Chris Draper always came out and talked to people. You know who else did? And his English wasn't the best at the time? Matthew Dandino. He really and truly did. It was, and he was always funny to deal with. He always had a quick line, or just the way his inflection, as you could tell in the conversation that we had. He's a really funny guy, and really look forward to seeing him. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned the playing. Do you remember he did it to Sergei Fedorov? That's the way Scotty Bowman's mind worked. I mean, I think
he
people
could see
forget
things.
He like honestly, he just and. Gosh, where did I see the quote? I was just thinking about this, and I can't remember. It was a very prominent player said something along the lines, when he puts Sergei Fedorov back on the blue line, he goes, if he played there the whole season, there was an even money chance he was going to finish second in Norris Trophy voting behind Nick Lidstrom.
Yeah, right.
That's how good he was. That's how much he embraced it. But that's the way Scotty's brain worked. He looked at the game in ways that we don't look at it. And that's why I would love to just sit and talk to him, because it was like, he was always just, and I don't even think Scotty knew it. There was always just some kind of incredible knowledge coming out of his pie hole.
That was just his ordinary day, right? And then we see the genius. But what another unbelievable guest.
Yeah.
Wow. Could have talked to him forever. So I'm
working on next week.
Okay. So we
might have another one for you.
We do high school hockey games, right? 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? And we talk about their pathway. Matthew Dandino was in the Eastern Ontario Junior Hockey League at the age of 15.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. I think he played at home. I want to say
he was with Sherbrooke.
Before Sherbrooke, there was a team, Vernier in the East, before he came and was in Sherbrooke in the Q.
Yeah.
I still think that was kind of close to home to this Gloucester. He played with the Raiders, stuff like that. But at 15, I just kept thinking of 15. What that must be like.
Boy, could he fly though?
Oh, he could. He was another skater too. He was another great skater.
He could just fly. Boy, what he said about Scotty, I literally had to stifle because I'm not going to mention any names.
Okay.
You'll be able to figure out who I'm talking about. So Scotty and I'll tell you a story. Scotty and I one time sat in his office and talked about the 79 Habs, A through Z.
Yes.
Everything. I just sat down, I grabbed my bucket of popcorn, not literally, and just listened to him tell stories. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm sitting here talking to Scotty Bowman. This is great. I swear to God, the next time I saw him in the locker room, he looked at me like he's never seen me before in his entire lifetime. Completely mind bleeped me. Completely. So much so that somebody that you know, don't say his name, somebody that you know, I literally said to them, I go, like, did I do something to piss him off? And he started laughing. He goes, okay, I never told you this. He goes, he really likes you.
Yeah.
But he can't let on that he likes you. That's the way he is and everything. So I bet you've already figured out who it was. But I mean, that was Scotty. Scotty, I can totally see him walking up to Matthew, probably en français, and acting like they're best buddies. And then the next day kind of looking at him like, and just walking right past him. That's Scotty. That's the way the man operated. Oh, is that guy a beauty? All 90 years old. I'm like, boy, he's going to be 91 this year. Isn't that incredible? So many other things going on in the hockey world. But again, I wanted to remind people, go out there. Tammy, I know you were at the first event. Mike, you had something to do. Hopefully you'll be out at this game with us. Once again, April 27th, Saturday, April 27th at Big Boy Arena, home of our buddy Ben and the Motor City Rockers, the playoff-bound Rockers, who, by the way, will be at home this weekend. Make sure you check them out Friday and Saturday night. But make sure you go to this event. As I said, we hope to start an Alumni Cup. The Stanley Cup is going to be out there. I know a guy who took a picture with it. I'm not going to mention any names, but
was he hugging it?
He didn't. You saw the picture. I didn't hug it, but I'm like, okay, I've seen it 1,000 times, but now it's just me in the Stanley Cup. Yep. I had to take a picture with it.
Oh,
I did. 100%. I had to.
So story time with Mike now.
Okay.
So I got an invite to the Red Wings training camp golf outing. Mm-hmm. So I was there, and the Stanley Cup was right after the O2 Cup was there. So I sat and had some drinks with Brett Hall and talked betting. Blake, we talked some betting with Brett Hall. It was one of the most unbelievable things. And he
hey, look at him. I knew that was coming. Don't incite him.
And of course, even better, he wouldn't let me pick up the tab. I thought that would have been cool to buy Brett Hall beers, but he just whipped out the wad of hundreds and paid. But that's not even the story. So I'm getting there late to dinner because I was having a couple beers with Brett Hall. And there's the Stanley Cup. You get in line for a picture. Everyone's in at dinner. It's just me. So I walk up and I'm on it. I'm all over it. And who comes out of the restroom? Chris Chelios. And he looks right at me and he says, "Act like you've been there, son." And I look at him and I'm like, "Chelly, I've never been there. I don't even know what to do. Why don't you come over and show me?" So I have a picture on my wall now of me and Chris Chelios with the cup. No one else got that picture, but because I came late.
I've been to a few of the Stanley Cup parties. Yes. Sorry, I'm not going to say who. I've been to a few, but I was at the infamous one, as you know. I was at the infamous one. I know the whole story to that, and I'm never going to tell it. I told you. Yes. I know the whole. Yes. I know the whole story behind it. I'm sorry, I can't do that. McCarty said, "You know why guys like you? Because you don't like narc and everything." And I'm not going to change that. Sorry.
No.
There's some things that don't need to be out there. How's that?
People don't need to know everything.
No, they don't. They don't. So many other things going on in the world of hockey. But again, April 27th, GH Pastor Foundation. This is a thing now. If you haven't figured it out, originally when this came across my bow and they approached me to be a small part of it and broadcast these games, the first thing that I said to Joe is, I said, this is going to explode. Yes. And I have a feeling this is going to be like bigger than we all thought. There is an alumni series that's going to start. I'm convinced of it. We're already thinking ahead to not just the third game, but the fourth game as well. So this is really cool as word of mouth continues to spread. And so many guys like Matthew Dandino caught wind of this. And even though he plays with Les Enchants, the Habs alumni team, he basically put out the call and said, "I really want to be a part of this." And so he's a part of it as well. So Tammy said, "I have a selfie with Lord Stanley at the Hall of Fame."
Oh, yep. I've got plenty of
nothing,
those. I love
nothing wrong with that.
It's a great day trip.
I have to ask the question, since we stumbled upon this subject, what are your thoughts on picking up the cup and putting it over your head?
As far as what?
Like you're
at a party.
Okay.
I don't have a picture of me, and I could pull it up on my phone. I'm not. Well, I don't even think I could pick that up. Look at me. I couldn't pick that thing up.
It's 35 pounds.
I would try, but that scar in my shoulder, bones would start popping out of it. However, I do have a picture of me drinking out of the cup.
I think that's okay.
I've got no problem with that.
I think that's okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is we've always talked about just touching it. People talk about just touching it. You can't touch it, kind of thing. I touch it, whatever. But I never thought of picking it up over my. I don't think you're allowed to. Like, you should not be allowed. That's the celebration
They allow
of
people
the cup.
to do it. They do. They allow people. I see. I agree with you. They shouldn't.
No, that's sacred. That is not touching it, but doing this is sacred.
I have always said, if I get like back into broadcasting for a team,
yeah,
and my team won the Stanley Cup,
okay,
at that point in time, I would do it.
You're part of. You are part of
really
the
would.
organization.
I would do it at that time.
Don't you guys get rings too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You're part of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you look at it, it goes all the way down. Those people get out on the ice and they do it.
Mike just lifted his arms to show the tats. Why don't you show everybody the tats? Oh, there's a great Uber. How about that? Got my picture taken with the cup with Randy McKay at McKinnis Ice Arena during goalie camp after he beat the Wings for it. Amazing and heartbreaking at the same time. Randy, of course, a Montreal guy, ended up at Michigan Tech, still makes his living up there, up in UP area.
He's a good wing and devil.
Yes, he was. Of course, the 95 Devils ended up winning the cup. Ben said, if you didn't win it, you can't lift it. Ben, I agree with you.
I agree with that.
Tammy said,
touch it.
I lifted the Colonial Cup over my head when Flint won in 96.
Ooh, the Generals?
Man, look at that. Good for you. All right. So where do you want to start? Disappointing Wings game last night. No doubt about that. Patrick Kane to the rescue again. You just shook your head going, he did it again, but obviously not as well that ends well in the regard that the Caps win in overtime. And that's a huge 2 points for them. That's a huge swing. And I know people, well, the Wings got one. That's a huge 2 points for the Caps. It really is.
It's monster. And it puts it to where the last time we spoke last week, I think we were both about 51.256% that they were going to make the playoffs. We were still positive. But now we're at this point with that loss that you have to actually look at the numbers and try to do some math.
I feel the exact same way.
And I'm putting it at, do I go as dire as 5%? Can I say 10%? But it doesn't look good. So as you saw, those beautiful racks of ribs I was doing, my daughter Olivia had some friends over from school, and I got to tell you, here's a funny one. I'm going to ramble now. The boys came in and Liv's like, my dad's got to go do a podcast. And the one guy says, what, Legion? No, he did. He goes, oh, with Sean.
You're going to have to give that's an inside joke. Okay.
But he asked, he said, what do you think the chances are? So I had to get it out. I had to do the
I'm
math.
going to be intrigued.
I've got the schedules right here in front of me.
All right.
So the 11 games that Washington has left, I gave them 5 wins.
Okay.
5 and 6.
Okay.
That means the Wings have to go 7 and 3 against Carolina, Tampa Bay, the Rangers, Buffalo, Washington, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Montreal twice, and the Flyers once. I don't have 7 wins there.
No,
I can't do that.
I like what Tammy said there, and Tammy's as big as a Wing fan as you'll find. Wings, so close, not going to happen this year. I'm with you, Mike. It's funny. As God is my witness, we didn't talk about this ahead of time. I didn't know he was bringing this up. I was going to ask you what the percentage was, and my percentage is down below 20% now.
Yeah.
Is somewhere that I would say it. I would say below 20% at this point in time.
I would bet. So bet again. One of the guys I follow, Andy McNeil for Hockey Bang. That's one of the bets he does. He does futures and he projects odds out there. I know I could probably find what his actual mathematical odds are, but it's not good because they're going to have to win 7 of the next 10 games, and I can't see it happening, especially with what I'm still going to call the lack of buy-in from everybody on the team. The game last night, someone I think said was entertaining. Too many passengers.
I agree with that. I thought in
passengers.
particular in the third period they played like they arrived in the first few. Last night was one of those beautiful nights, Mike, where I got to settle in and watch that game, and then I watched the Habs and Avs afterward. And boy, I didn't like the Avs last night. I mean, I'm happy with the outcome, obviously,
Right.
They're getting goaltending from both those guys right now. In particular, let me tell you something. Keith Skid's playing really well.
Yeah.
Caden Primo is playing. The last couple times I've seen him, he's been stellar.
Okay.
Last night it was Montembeau's turn, but I'm telling you, I didn't like the Avs last night. I didn't like them at all, to be honest with you.
I mean,
Maybe it was an off night, and Lord knows the Habs can bore you to death by taking away the middle of the ice. But
that could be the outlier. You have to watch it and gather more information on that. I can't see that becoming something that is just a wagon out there. The way they're playing, but where there's smoke, sometimes there's fire. You do have to watch that. I was surprised at that final score. To the buy-in, you can see it right here at the top of the page. I wrote, first periods are cute. It was very cute, Sean, that the Capitals didn't have a shot for 10 minutes. But what you brought up was the concern in the third period, and two, just what I saw without even going back on replay, glaring mistakes. When you've got the lead 2-1 in the situation that you have, you can't have those mistakes.
Nope.
And that's who the Wings
I know
are
who
right
you're
now.
looking at right
I'm
George.
looking right off the face off on one, and then another big tall defenseman in front getting beat by a little forward off the you just can't have that in these games. And then if we go to overtime, I don't want to mention it because I like him. I like the way he's playing now, but there's a certain someone, if you watch the Washington highlight, that did not have his guy.
Yep.
That led to the goal. You can't have those breakdowns. And coach was on after the game, and I think he said the very same thing. Like he didn't hide. He just like, that is disappointing. That was disappointing.
Tammy asks, question is, does Lalonde keep his job at the end of the season?
Wow.
I would say yes.
So
I would almost definitively say yes.
I would believe that. Steve brought him in for a reason, but it is the time of year to start thinking of a lot of these things for a lot of these teams. And when me and you were texting and on Twitter, I said I had a couple questions for you. So if we jump off the Red Wings right now for a second.
Before you do that, can I tell everybody about our friends at Legacy?
Oh, please do.
By the way, you can come see us live on opening day. And our friends more on that in a second. Our friends from Legacy are going to be there. That's right. Joe actually hit me up today, said he's going to be out there opening day next Friday. Looking forward to seeing Joe and Alex and Dave. And I need to let you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance. What are you waiting for? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents and provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Get yourself a free quote. Heck, come out to Batch Brewery with us. You can talk to them in person. They'll prove it to you. Legacy has helped so many people out there by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get you the right coverage put in place to properly protect you and save you money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your car, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, business insurance needs. They got your back. Put them to the test. Give them a call today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. We're going to see them out there at Batch. I think we even have like a cute little thing. Like, Blake, if you want to play that cute little thing, Todd is tremendous. And look at this. Hold on. You ready? Watch this. Yeah. Right. Batch Brewing Company located in Corktown, Detroit. We're going to be out there live next Friday for opening day. Scratch Kitchen.
Scratch Kitchen.
Oh, we could have some fun with that.
So you know what that means? That means gluten-free.
Yes, there you go. Official craft beer sponsor of Off the Air. We appreciate those guys. We're going to be out there not only for opening day, but I have a feeling we're going to be out there for some draft stuff as well. So we'll see you there at 1400 Porter Street. It's going to be a blast next Friday, 10:30 to noon. I know the three of us are going to be out there. I'm working on another special guest. I bet you can figure out who he is. And some other guests may be joining us via the StreamYard as well. So hope to see you out there as well. I always say this, support the people who support us. It's really cool. We love doing this. And because of great people like both Legacy and Batch, we're able to do this. All right. But Mike, I'm ready for your quiz.
Okay. So we were talking about Lalonde, is he coming back? And we believe so, but it is the time to start asking those questions. And the one that came up to me was Martin St. Louis. He's been there 3 years. Well, 2.5 years, right? He's been there. They are loaded with young talent. Slavsky, the number one pick, he's really coming along. This is a big time in this organization. Do they bring him back? What are your thoughts on him? Do they like him? Because the next couple of years is big. Suzuki, Caulfield, all this youth that they have.
The guys that they have who are just a step out of the league right now. Like, I don't think people, I remember talking about this late last year, and you and I had many conversations like this. The Atlantic Division is going to be very interesting very soon. And what I mean by that is, you know, the old guard, if you will. You have Boston, you have, you know, obviously Tampa, you have Toronto, and then you have these teams underneath. Yeah, Buffalo's got a ton of talent. Ottawa. I think Montreal and Detroit, maybe not enough people understand, like, there's a load of talent in the system. There really is. And so, especially, I think the biggest thing with the Habs in particular is they have a surplus of defensemen. They're going to have to trade a couple of defensemen. And my guess is they're going to go young defensemen for, you know, a quality forward, something like that. Not that they've ever done that before, the Druin trade. Okay, everything that I've heard, and I'm not there, is they absolutely adore Marty St. Louis.
Good.
And there has to be something said for that.
Good.
I think if the kids love him, and, you know, because he's one of those guys, he's not like the old school guy like Scotty Bowman. I'm going to stand back and I'm going to let all my guys run things. He's hands-on and gets on the ice, and he'll go work with Cole Caulfield. He'll go over there and do these things. So, again, I hate to cop out because I'm not there, but I know for a fact, those guys absolutely love him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's big. I mean, and then getting to the Red Wings coach, getting to the line. This is a huge time, especially if there's not 100% buy-in that Steve's running out of time, possibly. Like what are we doing? Do I start over? Is this a guy that you know, I'm going to bring back because people are going to buy in, and we're going to have some guys moving out? As
Kramer said, need some D, need a whole heck of a lot of D.
We need a lot,
a lot, and I think the names that we've talked about, I think we could add some more names. One guy in particular, I think you made reference to him. I'm just tired of the every other night thing. I am. It's every other night. Every other night, it's like good or bad. It seems like there's no in between, and it drives me out of my mind. Consistency from their top forwards. Tammy said need a goalie as well. How soon is their goalie of the future? I know we've talked about that so much. Some people still think it's Sebastian. I know some people within the franchise that think it's Trey, but how close is Trey? You know, I mean, so those are huge questions.
Well, I think what we've seen this year is we've got a goalie right now. The question with Lyon coming in was I think he maxed out at 21 games,
100%
or less than that, and so he's got to get that stamina. He's got to get it up. He's good. He can do it. That could be your Passover to see. I mean, I would be floored if Kosa is not here next year to say, hey, this is what I am. This is what I do. We goalies take a while. Trey's down the road, but we need that. We call him the Ben Bishop. We need a Ben Bishop that is going to do that. That's going to hold that fort down, get you some playoff games in, and then your Vasilevsky is going to come.
What was your second question?
I have a lot.
You have a lot?
One's kind
I thought you said two. I do, like
but
quizzes.
I added one. But it's not the third one. The last one's going to be fun. You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. So that we're starting to round into shape here for the playoffs.
Mhm.
And I made a statement last show that I wouldn't want to play the Kings. So I'm going to go over a couple teams here. I'm going to go over the bottom 4
Okay.
of the West.
Yes.
The Kings, the Knights, the 16-0-2 Predators,
Mhm.
and the Connor McDavid Edmonton Oilers. Can all 4 of those teams win?
Could you imagine? Now, let me take another step. Could you imagine LA and Edmonton in the first round? I'm guess what? My sleep deprivation will begin.
100%.
I'm not missing that.
No, not at
I
all.
am not missing that.
And that's like, this is what waiting to see where this all plays out and who's playing who and who's going where. But when I'm looking at these teams, I'm like, I'm looking at Blake and an underdog upset series parlay. I mean, I really like these 4 teams in the West, and they are your 4 bottom teams in the West. I know it doesn't play out that
Look
way.
at the Sean is a big baby. You're damn right. I'm a big baby. Mike, I'm gonna. And by the way, to your credit, remember he was talking up the Kings last week. We went upstairs and I watched them be a complete wagon, and they were up 6-0 like the blink of an eye, and then it turned into a shit show after that. But listen, Mike, I need to say this again. The first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs when we were kids was more often than not an utter joke.
Yes.
The first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs now is the best round.
Yeah,
it is.
it's
I'm
good.
sorry. It's the best round year in, year out. And look at Blake. Forward me that parlay when it's easy. Stop it. Stop it. Jeez. Tom said, what's up, fellas? Watching from the Speakeasy in South Lyon. Tom, maybe we could do like an NHL roundup, like before the Stanley Cup playoffs start, and like have a bunch of people's faces up there, giving their thoughts out there and everything. But all right, you have another question? I kind of like your questions.
I have another.
I don't want to be called
a
baby.
This one's fun. It's hockey, but not really. So me and Sebastiano watching hockey last night. The Wings game and all the early games were on the intermission, except for one, the 7:30 start, the Toronto game.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned on ESPN Plus.
Poor Maple Leaf.
But here's the thing: it was not Maple Leaf. It was in Spanish. I clicked the Spanish.
Oh,
feed.
no way. Did
Sean,
you really? Were you dying?
Telling you, me and Sebastian were dying. I will not watch hockey any other way now. But let me tell you what, we lost it. They were calling Austin Matthews within the play Poppy. It was unbelievable. They're coming in Poppy Matthews. And we would we'd go, no, shh. They go, Poppy. And we would just lose it. You've got to watch it. I am telling everybody out there, you have to watch one of these games in Spanish, and it's got to be a Maple Leaf game, and you got to hear them call Poppy.
See, you know what? Now I'm going to show my age, and you're aware of this. Like back in the day, there used to be a channel called Channel 54 out of Windsor that you could turn in and you could watch the Habs games in French.
Okay.
Like it was, do you remember?
I remember watching games with you, yes.
Yeah. It just and there was even like a radio. Do you remember the radio station? Yes. Do you remember what it was?
It was all the way at the other end.
540.
540. I was close. I was getting down there. I knew it was all the way at the end.
I can't tell you how many times it was just like, all right, I got to go to my car and listen to the end of the game and everything. It really is just an amazing thing. So I'm going to have to try that sometime. See, Tammy even said Spanish. I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn on my subtitles.
And it's not like you lose anything within the game because you think
sounds so dirty.
Oh my God, it was awful. You think about how many times we watch games at the rink without play. We really don't need the play-by-play. So it was almost like the soccer goal. I mean, it was very excitable. It got you, and it was. We were dying.
You guys should do some searches because he and I love this. Like going back like almost 40 years ago now. Like, and we were talking to Chris Nyland about this a few weeks ago. When Claude Lemieux was a rookie and he scored an overtime winner in Game 7 to beat Hartford, and like listening to this French guy, listen, I have no other way to say it. The man had an orgasm on the air.
Can I do my best?
Yeah, go ahead.
Claude Lemieux.
He just goes, like it was like, go look it up. It's so, but you know what? Passion, you don't need to know the language to hear the passion, and I think we're blessed around here. Ken does such a great job. Ken Cal, he's so emotional, and obviously Ken Daniels as well. I'm a stickler, and maybe this is showing my age. I think there's nothing like listening to a hockey game on the radio. I'm sorry. I enjoy it. I really do. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather watch the game, but I love hearing a guy completely paint the picture of what's going on. If I'm driving in the car, I love to turn on different, games and listen to the radio broadcasts. It's just so damn good,
100%. You got it exactly right with painting a picture. Like you when you're watching the game, I don't need you talking during the game. When I'm listening on the radio, I need to know the details of what's going on. And those guys that are good at it do the best job of, you can almost picture it.
Best advice I got, and I've told him this, Ken Daniels said to me before I went and did the games in Carolina, he said, don't talk too much. Just relax. Let the game breathe. You don't have to talk that much. Right. And he's absolutely right. When you're doing a television broadcast now on the radio, you better have the blabbermouth going, because sometimes I know you've worked with me. Sometimes I know I can get going until you say Poppy. And then I start laughing.
Well, when we're doing games, you've got to keep talking, because as soon as you stop, I start interjecting things, and you don't want that.
Here we go.
You don't want
I want to get your thoughts. You were at Munn last week, an epic hockey game, great for the state, great for college hockey. No doubt. I want to get your thoughts on that. Can we talk to you about Legacy first? Or excuse me, I'm sorry. I brought up Legacy. See, I already talked about Legacy, but you can call them and get your free quote. How about we talk about Wealth Advantage? Can we do that? See, I'm starting to talk too much hockey. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? If you are, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those two guys, the Hanson brothers, not to be confused with the Hanson brothers. Mike and Jeff. Jeff was over here the other night. They will give you personalized service, expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. And if you're saving for retirement, you're getting ready to sell your company, already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life and have clients in over 20 states. The investment world, it is a complex one. But if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, might be time to work with a couple experts. Enter the Hanson brothers. Reach out to Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574 or visit their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Of course, I know everybody out there is not a college hockey fan, and there's this weird split between OHL fans and college hockey fans. I've never quite understood it. I like both.
Yeah.
You
can, and you're allowed to.
And I've been fortunate. I've done broadcasts for both. I've done broadcasts for, the GLI back in the day, obviously Michigan State Television. I did broadcasts for the Saginaw Spirit, broadcasts for the Plymouth Whalers. I like both of them. I think these are exciting times because you have two young, vibrant coaches that get where they're at in Coach Naranjo, of course, at Michigan, and my personal hero, Coach Nightingale at Michigan State. And we're going to get Coach Nightingale on sooner rather than later. Mike, Munn Arena was made for nights like last Saturday.
It was amazing. It was everything that I wanted it to be. If you remember, the week before, I had said I was trying to get tickets. I was trying to get tickets to go to the game because I wanted to be there. And for anybody that has the thought that game should have been played at Little Caesars, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Beat it.
The environment was excellent. They deserved it. They earned it. And those two teams put on a back and forth show. Everyone there was entertained. And again, the crowd was awesome. And what a way to end it in overtime, where it looked like it was going one way. But I mean, it's going to be very interesting now going forward into the tournament here, the two different styles that the teams play. I mean, you get the puck on the boards. Me and the guy I was with, Michigan State's unbelievable down below the net on the boards. That's where they get their chances. And then just the unbelievable skill and speed of that Michigan team is unbelievable. But if I can jump back if we're going to get to the tournament and talk about why everyone's complaining about the game, the North Dakota, the Michigan State region in a 2,500 seat facility. If they just sat down, this is kind of like the Michigan high school and the regions. You can get this right if you did it. These first round games should be on campus.
100%.
And you could
100%.
And you could do it. And you could even do that. And then you delay it. And then you can do the region final somewhere else if you have to for neutral site. But the first round, the number one seed in that division should be playing on their campus. You're going to get electric crowds.
I'll take it a step further. I think the second seed should be playing in their home barn as well. And
okay.
Yeah. And then let me take it a step further from there. And then it goes back to who's the highest remaining seed for the regional final.
Would it be Michigan, North Dakota? Then North Dakota would come to Michigan State. Okay,
you earned that.
I've been thinking about this all day.
That.
You just answered my questions on how that can
happen. Drives me out of my mind.
The only thing I was thinking of was we look at Michigan State. We look at Michigan. Obviously, they put hundreds of thousands of people in a football stadium. Not every. I don't know what Quinnipiac has as far as infrastructure. Do they have the hotels? Is that something?
That's a great. No, that's a very good question. I don't know.
But guess what? Build them, because this is what this sport
kick
needs.
the little bastards out of the dorm anyway. Get out of here.
Yeah,
we're going to take over the dorm for the last couple days. David said nothing better than hockey on the radio. Bruce Martin and Sid Abel under my pillow as a kid. Absolutely. I mean, so many of us did that. Ted said, I very rarely watch Saginaw Spirit road games. I listen to the audio stream of our local radio broadcast. I had so much fun, Ted. I remember meeting you up there when I worked with Greg Brady on those broadcasts. I had so much fun. Mr. Goslin, I wish you nothing but the best. Jason, Shauner can't shut up on a broadcast because he needs to make up for the words he doesn't say. If you're just watching a game with him, this post is sponsored by Canadian Club.
Hey,
that could happen too. Hey. Any comments on what I have read regarding questionable officiating in the Michigan State big game? I'll go first. I have no problem with it. I think one call in particular, there was a legitimate beef. Okay. I do.
So having more of a replay type environment at home, which one are you talking about?
The goal is not, I'm sorry, you play until the whistle. I have no sympathy for anybody with that.
That was my question. Being there, I couldn't hear anything, and they showed the replay, and the puck's in the net, so I didn't know what anybody was arguing about.
I have zero issue with that. I mean, I'm sorry. That is a baby's argument every single time. You learn at the earliest of age, play to the whistle.
Right.
No whistle went. What do you? It drives me out of my mind.
The only one I thought would have the biggest question was the Michigan second goal called non-goal. They never showed us a replay of what happened. All we saw was a Michigan State guy in the crease, Michigan State goalie down, puck in the net, no goal. We never. So I'm like, I didn't know how that happened.
That was the one I thought there was a beef.
Okay,
just
right. So
I don't blame you. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but this is why Jason's in here right now. Jason and I were actually talking about this via, what is it called? DM or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to get in these discussions with people anymore. I don't get it anymore. It's just because you know how it is. Somebody will go, well, you're a smarty. Mm-hmm. No, you know what? If you don't know me by now, you aren't paying attention.
Right.
I'd say the same damn thing if that's your team. Play to the whistle. What? Okay. This isn't new. Stuff drives. So, Ted, to answer your point, like so many other things, I think there was one thing that was legitimate. I thought there was another thing that completely got overblown. Just one man's opinion.
100%. It's the way I seen it. And again, I don't think it took anything away from the game, in my opinion. Whenever there's a questionable call, the only thing it takes away is the side that loses comes back and has a beef of how that changed the game. And then anybody that's playing within that game, they may not like it, but can tell you 5 things they could have done to prevent what had happened. Yeah. They didn't even need the call.
Jason said, I played JUCO hockey and we could get $500 to $750 for home games. $2,500 for a Frozen Four game is ridiculous. There are 4,000 people at the Michigan high school finals, for goodness sake.
Right.
And if you don't believe us, ask us. We were there, right? Especially Mike, like when you're on the ice at the very end of the game, we get a chance to go on the ice because I have to do interviews on the ice and everything. Seeing that crowd from ice level is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And seeing the rings, not just a ring around. There was a game, and there were two to come to mind when I did the Whalers, and Ted, I'm sure that from being a big Saginaw fan, and you came down for some of these games, but there are two games that stood out to me. There was a game 7 against Dale Hunter and the Knights that the Whalers won, where I'm convinced, no offense to Coach Vellucci, I'm convinced if the fire marshal came in there, he would have shut the rink down.
Right.
I mean, it was so packed. And then when we had, was it 2 overtimes? I don't remember. Boy, I should remember that. But there was a goalie for Sudbury. It was game 5, and his name was Sebastian Dom, and he had like 81 saves.
Wow.
And I swear to God, Mike, as the night went on, more people just magically showed in.
Yeah.
Like, it was amazing. It was like it was already a big crowd, but then more people just kind of magically showed up. Are you serious? Todd has the Claude Lemieux call. Now, Tammy found it. Tammy found it already and made a suggestion. But Todd, if you want to play the Claude Lemieux in French, we would love to hear it.
I think this is the right one, but
86 Hartford Whalers.
Yeah,
All right. I can't wait to hear this. Listen to this broadcaster.
Oh,
see, look at you. Claude Lemieux. Claude Lemieux. Ooh. Look at Shanahan. That clothesline is still unbelievable. It really how he caught him. Yeah, Happy McCarty Day, right? Turtle Day, whatever you want to call it. March 26th is a holiday forevermore. All right. What else did we have to hit on? Because we already blew past. We always say we're going to do 50, 55 minutes. Right.
Hey, we had the Saginaw Spirit ending with their
Good
best
luck.
record ever. Getting ready.
Can't wait.
Loaded up and ready for the
I'll be up
Memorial
there,
Cup.
Ted. I'll see you up there. I might see you up there sooner rather than later. Okay? I might see you up there sooner rather than later.
If you need a driving partner, you know where I live.
All right.
And then we were going to mention the U17s have a game, a little rematch against Madison after losing 5-1
tomorrow night. I got your schedule planned out for you. You ready? Thursday night, you can either go to Saginaw and see Saginaw take on Owen Sound, or you can go in your own backyard. In my case, literally my own backyard, and go to USA Hockey Arena. And then Friday and Saturday night, you can go see the Rockers. Right? 7:35 start on Friday, 6:05 start on Saturday. That's a pretty damn good weekend, right? All right. Can I talk about Lindsay Broadwell?
Yeah.
All right. When it's time to buy a house, sell a house, both, whatever the case may be, you need to contact somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. See that lady? She knows what she's doing. Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up here on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. And when it comes time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and that everything goes smoothly when you're finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, whatever the case may be, make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. And Ted, I will let you know, I promise. I actually had a conversation with a couple guys that Chris Osgood, of course, part of that Saginaw Spirit team, and Mr. Goslin last night. Had a conversation with him. So I'm looking forward to heading up to Saginaw. All right, any final thoughts? I see Kramer. I'm going to the Rangers game with him in a couple weeks. Kramer doesn't know this yet, but I have a surprise for him. He doesn't know it yet.
I like.
I bet you can figure out what the surprise. It's the same surprise I surprised my buddy Ted with.
I know exactly what that surprise is.
And then what's funny? You and I were talking about this. Like I'm going to the Habs game. I'm going with Neville and a bunch of the alumni guys, and then I'm also going. Teddy and I are going to the Capitals game.
That's going to be.
So I'll see if Teddy can grab another ticket.
Let's see what they can do. That game.
I agree with your logic. They're going to have to, in all likelihood, go 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
And are they capable of doing it right now based on the last few weeks? No.
It'll take 100%
All right,
buy-in. It's going to take good defensive hockey, not only in the first 10 minutes, but in the last 20.
All right, now hold on. Blake
Yes,
just
sir.
texted me. I want to
Okay.
read this. Blake, just make sure I say this right. And if I don't say it right, you can come on the screen and everything. Subscribe to YouTube and like the video. Okay, but don't just like YouTube and like the video. You have to subscribe to YouTube. Did I do it right, Blake? Was that good? You can turn your camera on, right? Oh, good job. He said, good job.
So,
all right. Yeah, he's giving me the thumbs up. Look at him with
right.
his little hoodie on. All right, Blake.
We get a lot of flow there through, if that's what the word is, Twitter. We have a lot of action. Could we get the YouTube channel retweeted or something, and then they can see it and they can click on it?
Todd,
is that allowed?
Blake,
is that allowed?
How do we do that?
I know my Pearl Jam was not allowed. That was breaking the rules.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Kramer. No, but Blake, turn on your dumb camera and mic. I don't care if you're talking. How do we, like, if you send out like I don't know, what is it, Facebook?
I look so professional right now.
Who cares?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. We can send you guys the link. Yes, I can make that happen.
But like, if you retweeted something or you put it out on Facebook, could I just then what is it, retweet or whatever it's called?
Well, you're talking about two different things. You're talking about X and Facebook.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So could I
exit?
I could,
but we can post the link to the YouTube page on Twitter.
Boom.
And on Facebook.
And then I could share it on Facebook.
Yeah, you share it.
And then
that's what I just said. Yeah.
I could quote tweet it on Twitter or X.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, see? And you get a lot of traction.
I have no idea why. I just don't. I'm not on there all that much, right? Over under 10 words spoken by Sean during all those games he's going to combine. Jason, you're right. I don't talk during games. You just go to a game, you watch a game. Shut the heck up. Poppy.
It was unbelievable.
I'm going to think about that all night.
You're going to think about it until there's an ESPN Plus Toronto game.
I'm going up to see if there's a game. Yeah, I'm going to. All right. On that note, see you later. Until next week, thank you. Tell your friends about this if you like this garbage. Subscribe and like or what? Subscribe to YouTube.
Subscribe it. Yep.
Like tell your friends about it. We'll see you again next week. So you probably know we have a few guests coming up that are going to be part of the alumni game. Once again, April 27th, Big Boy Arena. We'd love to see you out there. This is a big thing. And I have some guys that are currently playing in the NHL right now and currently coaching in the NHL right now who've already said to me whenever their season ends, they'll come on. And you know what, Blake, I can also say this. Coach Nightingale said he'd come on too. So I'm going to hold you to that, Coach. Hopefully after Sparty wins a natty. Wouldn't that be nice? All right. In the meantime, have yourselves a fantastic night. We'll talk to you soon.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Belegian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.
Canadians goal is 6th of the series, scored by number 32, Claude Lemieux.
Well, there's nothing like winning it in overtime in the 7th game, Dick, but I can tell you this, there's absolutely nothing like losing.
And number 39, Ryan Strudland.